I'm Sidharth Sogani from BlockNext Solutions, Mumbai, and we are here to talk about blockchain. So, just to start off with, who bought Bitcoin last week? Okay, who has been investing into Bitcoin since more than a year? Okay, so those who have been investing, did you guys knew about 2FA before that? The Google two-factor authentication or OT? Okay, so what blockchain is doing now is, and Bitcoin specifically, because it has started the internet of trust. When we start using Google two-factor authentication, we realize that there is some stored value on the internet. Somebody can come and hack into your account and take away all your Bitcoins. When you are using 2FA or one-time passwords to secure your accounts, you guys are going through a sense of responsibility that you are responsible for your funds, where anybody can come and hack into your account. You will not do a stupid mistake of keeping the same password, where previously we had one password for all our email addresses or our Facebook accounts, but now we will not do that because we are more responsible, because there is something valuable in the exchange or the Coinbase account or the wallets which we are using. We are using OTPs for our phones and passwords. So that is actually creating an evolution of security, because Bitcoin blockchain specifically is not just blockchain technology. It's a mixture of cryptography. It is a mixture of proof of work. It is a mixture of peer-to-peer networking, like how torrents work, how LimeWire worked before. It also has a very important technology, electricity. So now, because of all these things, we have an internet of trust. And when we do more transactions, like sending Bitcoin to people, receiving Bitcoin, we have come across a kind of a confidence that yes, there is something which can digitally exist. And because of that, we need blockchain more. So why do we need blockchain and digital currencies, and how will it change the way we live? Blockchain is needed where two people don't know each other and then they want to get involved into a transaction. So like we are into textiles originally, and when we export, blockchain solves a problem of removing the banks or the government organizations, and we can directly deal with the buyer or the seller. So that trust factor of involving the banks all the time, using LCs, using letter of credits, those Swift codes, and all those things can be removed. Also, where we need transparency. Now you don't know the buyer over there sitting in US or Dubai or wherever he is, but with this transparent smart contracts, we can really move a way ahead, and we can also authenticate that the buyer actually exists, because he has his own, he's a part of the smart contract, so we know that he is there. Blockchain enables digital assets like how Bitcoin is. There are more than 1,500 currencies, and 5-7 come every day. It creates an internet of trust, because more than Bitcoin, we can store important information as well, where you are storing your how the government is coming up with a e-wallet, where you can store all your registered documents, your Aadhaar card, your PAN card, your passport, all your documents can be directly downloaded from the wallet. Because we trust the internet now due to blockchain, it is more lucrative. It gives a sense of ownership. So when we are sending a WhatsApp message to our friend, or we are forwarding a WhatsApp image, what we are sending is a copy of it. We are not transferring the ownership of that coin. So when we are sending Bitcoin to somebody, we just have a hashtag, but the Bitcoin's ownership gets transferred to somebody else. That happens only because of because we trust the system. Also, there is a proof of transfer of ownership. It creates identity, of course it does, and smart contracts. So a lot of smart contracts can be utilized. Even governments are using it, and banks, of course, they do. So who all are from the banking sector here? Okay, great. So 90% of the major banks in Europe are exploring blockchain technology. They want to, they are having that FOMO thing. They don't want to miss out on it. So they are already exploring it, and a lot of banks have already started using it, even in US as well as Europe. And with blockchain, the transaction speed and the synchronization of real-time data gets really easy. So in banks, usually what happens, certain branches don't have access to certain databases, which can be solved. A lot of banks are using some of the financial institutions are using Corda by a company R3 and Prime Chain, and they are also working with few insurance companies. Transaction time, previously there was like it's still there, the Swift transactions. They used to take 3 to 4 working days. Now it has come down to 4 seconds. If anybody has used Ripple to transfer tokens, they would know. It just takes 4 to 5 seconds. Of course, the transaction fee of Ripple is 0.0015. So that's hardly few paise if you calculate it in Indian rupees, because Ripple itself is around 50 rupees right now. And it doesn't matter if you send 15 Ripple or 1500 Ripple, the transaction fee is the same. Banks can keep a track of the credit score. So right now TransUnion has a tie-up with CIBIL, and they keep a track of the CIBIL score by taking a real-time database from the banks which have granted loans. What happens now is, suppose somebody is trying to goes to a nationalized bank, and that nationalized bank is giving you a loan. The nationalized bank don't have a real-time system update with TransUnion. So the person who's applying for a loan can approach the other bank, and the other bank will not know that he has applied for another loan. So that problem can be solved. Secure transaction, immediate authentication. Anybody has gone to a bank to withdraw more than 1 lakh rupees? So if you go there, the teller, you give a check to the teller, he'll go to the senior officer, get it authorized, then he'll come back to you and give you the cash. With blockchain, this can be done immediately. Smart contracts, of course, LC, forward contracting, and faster and cheaper transactions, RippleNet I just mentioned. Governments. So governments are the biggest data creators, because they create data for passports, Aadhaar card, driving licenses, marriages, divorces, and they consume the data as well. So they are the biggest consumers as well, because just imagine you are going to apply for an Aadhaar card. So the government will ask for a passport or your other documentations. And if they are actually asking for the same documents which their other departments have issued. So once all the databases are on blockchain, it becomes really easy and less time consuming for the citizen to deal with them. And Estonia is one of the biggest examples. They are having more than 3,000 services on the blockchain technology. So in 2007, they had a cyber attack, and that's when Estonia realized that they need a service or a technology which is more secure and which is more efficient. And since then, they have more than 90 to 95% of the information and the databases on blockchain technology. And they also lead the Cyber Defense Center for Excellence in the Europe. They have all these services on blockchain, and they have a fantastic program called the e-Resident. So all of you guys, in fact, can go on the Estonian e-residency website, pay about 100 euros, and upload your documents. And you guys can, if the documents are approved, you will become an e-resident of Estonia, and that will give you an indirect residentship of European Union. So that's a fantastic thing. If you are a e-resident, you can, if you want to open a bank account or start a company in Estonia, things become really, really easy. You can do it sitting at your home in India. Because you are an e-resident, you have access to all those things. This is a survey by Standards Australia. So vehicle registrations, health records, all these things are there on the internet already. But land transfers need blockchain the most, because there are a lot of disputes in land transfers usually. So that's there. And countries which are using the blockchain technology in realty is Ukraine. In Kiev, they had a very bad realty price crash few years back. So now they are on blockchain and they are expecting more investors to come in. And Georgia and Sweden. And Dubai, it was in news lately that Dubai is planning to put a lot of, about 100% of their land and property records on blockchain by 2020. So Dubai is having a lot of blockchain conferences. If you guys are updated with the thing, they have a conference every month related to blockchain. It will change the real estate sector drastically. So mortgage and financial transparencies would be easier. Multi-party registrations where there is a two buyers and one seller, or two sellers, one is a co-buyer, things can that be really easy. Automated EMI payments can be done, like the bank or the buyer can get into a smart contract with you, and automated payments can be deducted from your Ether or your bank account. It can be anyways. And of course, property taxes, collections, payments, all those databases can be maintained really easily. What will happen in real estate is there are a lot of errors in public records. So in Mumbai, as in because I live here, a lot of properties have title issues. So if somebody's father, he owned some property and he passed away, both of his sons or his daughters, they will have they will come and claim the property. So, but if the databases are on blockchain, nobody can do anything. So basically, the right legal here will get the property. Overseas leasing and renting is something really interesting. If, like one of my somebody I know, he just bought a property on rent last week, and because the owner of that property was in US, he actually had to wait for him to come down to make the registration contract. But if overseas leasing renting is there, he can, the owner of that property can authenticate that registration contract online using his own private key for that property. And of course, forgeries, stamp duties will go down, forgeries will get reduced. There will be a repairs and maintenance history for each and every property. So if you are getting into buying a new second-hand property, you can keep a track of that. This is how buying a land in future blockchain-based system would look like. Usually what happens is the Tehsildar office, which has the measurement of the land records, they and the surveyors, so if you are a buyer, you will get the land surveyed, their databases don't match. Somebody will say it's 100 square feet, and this guy will say it's 101 square feet. So if databases are on blockchain, they can actually figure out in real time that who's going wrong where. And you can do all these things like Aadhaar verification, and the income tax department can verify where the money is coming from and how it is being utilized very quickly. Insurance is a very confusing sector for a lot of people. So what happens is, if blockchain is there, there will be faster claims, and frauds will be minimized. Some people speculate the death of Sri Devi was something because of that. So those frauds can be reduced, and reinsurance can be really fast. If your car is running out of insurance, the reinsurance can be done really fast. And these insurance claims will be scalable. So if you are trying to improvise on the kind of insurance policy you are taking, you can really work a way out. A new generation of insurance will come in. Just imagine that the insurance company has a tie-up with the weather satellites, and they can see if the crop actually got destroyed or not, or the farmer is trying to do a false claim. And of course, digital asset insurance can be possible. So suppose your Bitcoin wallet gets hacked or some exchange gets hacked, digital insurances can be possible. Right now, only Gemini exchange by the Winklevoss twins, only that is an exchange which is insured. No other exchange is insured yet. It is Bitco. All right, that's nice. Export import, of course, like I mentioned, smart contracting will replace letter of credits. So banks and government organizations, which are the third party who actually assure the payments and smooth transactions between two parties, they will get a lot of beating by this. And you can easily ascertain taxes on the products and services which you are trying to import or export, because different countries have their different structures of import duties and export duties, which can be in sync. Custom clearances in India take a lot of time, which can the time can be reduced, and logistics can be in sync with the exporter and the shipping companies and the supply chain. Entire supply chain can be in real-time sync, which is much better than the ERP system which we use. Because now in ERP system, somebody has to manually enter the actual stock situations, the actual production situations. But if blockchain comes into place, entire warehousing, stock taking will be in a sync. That's the reason why SAP is already running their beta version by using the blockchain technology, and the new beta version is BaaS, that's blockchain as a service. I guess somebody mentioned it earlier. It's not regulated. It's difficult because the regulators will always be really slow, because there will be a lot of business which they are going to lose if blockchain comes into picture. The third party a lot of intermediaries are there, banks will lose a lot of business, and it is tough to regulate a blockchain because the value of the network, which is the Metcalfe's law. So suppose if I have a phone and I'm the only one having the phone, I have no value to it. But if everybody in the room has a phone, I can make the call. So the more number of users are there, the more value of the network will be there. And because more regulations need to come in to ascertain the value of that network, it's a little complicated. So there are no standards to do that. Just one standard, which is the 307, the Australian standard, is available to ascertain how good a blockchain is. These are the standards are there which can be used for the blockchain technology. So most of them are by the standards Australia and ISO. These sectors need blockchain the most. Governments, like I said, banks they need, and KYC, so like know your customer, where all the documents, you need to upload all your documents on certain exchanges, on certain websites to get your documents verified. If you are there on blockchain, you will just need to enter the private key authenticating your identity. Healthcare, social media, a lot of spam on Facebook and Instagram happens. If we start using blockchain technology in those areas, spam can be reduced drastically. Education and trading settlements can be really fast. Police and all the investigation agencies in the world can have a real-time track of blockchain through blockchain, because a blockchain will enable proof of identity, proof of existence. So if you are holding a private key, you are actually proving your existence, that you have you are the person and you have a private key, because it cannot be copied, or right now also we have when we go to the courts, the court tells us to get an affidavit done. If you have a blockchain, or your you have your own private key, you can just get it done immediately. Proof of location. So if you are using a mobile phone and your phone is using the GPS system, you can prove that you are at that certain location and not spam it. Proof of ownership, like how I mentioned, if you are sending somebody a photograph, you are sending a copy, not the original one. But if you have the ownership, it will you can prove it that you have moved it from one wallet or one account to another account. We don't know what blockchain can do yet, because it's too nascent, and a lot of development is taking place. But once blockchain is in picture, it can really enable artificial intelligence, and IoT can do wonders. You know, we don't know yet how, because it's still in a very nascent stage. Syndicated loan. So if somebody is trying to apply for a loan or trying for a bank limit, 5 banks can come together and fund it in a much easier way, and frauds like Nirav Modi can be avoided easily. And counterfeit like notes, like if things are digital, we have a fixed number of bitcoins, so you can't counterfeit it. You can't print more bitcoin and, you know, give it to people. And law and legal framework will be reduced, in fact, because already when the smart contracts are taking place, you are programming that contract in such a manner that your trades gets executed faster. So if that happens, what would the lawyers and legal people do? So those things can be really easy. So just imagine different sectors and departments come together. You are doing a sale with somebody, and an automated e-way bill comes into picture. Right now, what we are doing when we are trying to send somebody goods, we are going on the GST website, creating an e-way bill. But just imagine you are creating your invoice and the GST bill gets generated automatically. And because I understand a lot of people are from business or business kind of background, and you know, it's March ending, so you call up your vendors, your suppliers, your buyers, and tell them to send a copy of their accounts. If things are on blockchain, you'll save a lot of time doing that. You know, you will directly get into the system and you can see their accounts and they can sync it with yours. So it just happened because of Bitcoin, I guess. And Bitcoin is something which really tried to hype what blockchain is. So I will take questions now.
Thanks. Siddharth, you mentioned a lot of use cases on blockchains, like storing data on blockchain. But we know that, you know, all blockchains have scalability issues. You can't, you know, put all the data on blockchain. That's the reason we go for, you know, off-ledger storage also. So how do you decide what data to be stored off-chain, and how do you distribute the, or, you know, share the off-chain data with the different participants of a blockchain ecosystem?
So if something is being stored off-chain, that will not be a part of blockchain. So you have to take a call whether you want that information to be a part of blockchain or not. If the blockchain evolves, you will have to have it on the blockchain, otherwise technically that data will not exist because it's off-chain. So it will be.
I'll give an example to you. Assume the KYC use case. So usually, you know, we store the KYC documents off-chain, and the critical KYC related information, like, you know, the identity information of a customer, date of birth, passport, Aadhaar, those details, the numbers only are stored on-chain. But when I'm a customer, my KYC is being performed by Bank A, I go to Bank B, they will ask for the KYC documents also, like supporting Aadhaar card, the passport, you know, scanned copy, the digital copy of the passport. But that is normally stored on the off-chain by Bank A. So how do you tackle this?
See, banks are doing their formalities. Usually if you just go to a bank and give them your PAN card number, they can get all the related information through TransUnion, the CIBIL score that already has all your information. But just because they are following the guidelines of the Reserve Bank of India, they have to take official documents, photocopies with you. Right. They actually don't need it. The technology already exists where banks don't need to take official documents. You know, just a PAN number. There are a few websites where you can apply loan online. Just put in your PAN number and your details, and you will know that what is your CIBIL score and if the bank is giving you any loan or not. So that offline point is, I don't think so, because it doesn't make sense keeping anything offline when things go on the blockchain.
But I think as per the RBI guidelines, you have to maintain copies of Aadhaar card, PAN card, everything.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. They are following the RBI guidelines. That's the reason why they are asking you for those copies. Actually, they don't need it. They get the details from the CIBIL score. They are following the RBI guidelines. But if things are on blockchain, they will not need to ask you for a set of documents. They will already have it with them because they are a part of that blockchain.
Hi Siddharth,
Hi.
my question is majorly around the trading.
Okay.
So, the algo trading and the derivative trading are in nanoseconds.
Correct.
So, what kind of information can be on the blockchain to do that kind of a trading? That is part one of the question. And part two of the question is, settlements usually used to take T+5, now they have reduced to T+2 or maybe the T day, the next day itself, T+1. So, do you think that changing over the period of time for financial industry for the settlement area?
Yes. So I'll take the second part first, where you mentioned about the settlement. Already a few exchanges in US, I won't name them because they have not officially announced, but they are using the technology to do the settlement. So now T+2 won't take time. You do your trade, and because all their databases are in sync, the settlement will take place in few minutes. So you can take a delivery in your demat account. You can remove the shares or the bonds or stocks you are buying to your demat account in 1 minute. And the second part you mentioned was
Because it takes nanoseconds. Right now, if you have a huge CPU that they actually do the trading on, algo trading, that is minimum, even less than nanoseconds.
okay.
Do you think that happening on the blockchain?
Yes, right now it's in a very nascent stage, so nobody is actually doing it, but there are bots which are doing the trades on its own. So if you go on, there are few websites where you can go and buy a bot for say 0.5 Bitcoin for a week or a month, and you put in your funds into that bot, and that bot will automatically execute your trades. Those bots guarantee you, like, not officially, but they guarantee a return of 5 to 7% every day. So those bots are there, but of course when the markets are declining, they have their own algorithms where they get into a trade and exit it on its own. So those bots are there, but a decentralized exchange is what is needed for what you are asking, and that is, I think, you will see it in a very short time. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yep.
I just wanted to answer to the off-chain storage question earlier. There is off-chain storage, so there's storage layers and storage protocols like IPFS, which is a permanent storage, and the Ethereum storage protocol is called Swarm. Right. There's a storage layer similar to BitTorrent, where it's a distributed peer-to-peer network of storage. With the Swarm protocol, all storage is encrypted. So whatever gets stored on your machine, it's cut up into little chunks, and it does something similar to a RAID array, and will spread chunks over various nodes in different redundancy algorithms. So to manage storage to manage your own documents, so your own KYC documents, instead of letting some government sort of share all your data willy-nilly and you have no control over that, there's projects out there which allow you to permission your data, permission others to read your data. So your interactions, like where I was going with a distributed identity earlier, you can actually permission some identity or fraction of your identity with some entity. You can permission that they can read your address and only your address and things like this. So data doesn't have to go on the blockchain itself. Ideally, you're putting the most minimalistic amount of data on the blockchain because it is permanent, and anything beyond that just becomes bloat.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
So I just wanted to continue the same question which she had. I think about the latency part. So when we have these tradings with very less, extremely
Small margin.
Small margin, yeah. So how do we actually rely on blockchain for such low latency trading?
So I didn't get it exactly. Why do you want to do that? Like,
Yeah, so she was talking about the trading, right? Algo trading. I don't know if she meant the same thing. You meant the same
so
thing.
if it's a blockchain, if you're doing that trade on a blockchain, so you will need a decentralized exchange, which are they are not existing as of now, but there are projects which are raising funds for a decentralized exchange. So it doesn't matter if the trade is happening on the blockchain or a centralized exchange is doing. So I maybe did not get your question right.
No, so to put it in the other way, I thought, is it right to use blockchain for trading purposes?
Yes, of course.
That should be a precise
yes.
question.
Yes, of course.
And if that is the case, will it serve my purpose to book the trades at a very fast rate? That
yes,
was
yes.
yeah. Okay.
Blockchains will really increase the settlement time. I mean, reduce the settlement time.
I'm not talking about the settlement. I'm talking about the booking.
Even the trade will take place in nanoseconds.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
That all depends on how efficient the blockchain which you are using is. But usually it is like how Visa does 25,000 transactions a second, but Bitcoin does only 5 to 7 transactions a second. The blockchain has to be really scalable. So if there is a blockchain like Cardano, they are using a scalable technology. So the bigger the blockchain becomes, the more efficient it gets. So if an exchange is using that kind of technology, it can really happen in a split second.
Okay, thank you.